Two step-siblings caught in a forbidden affair. But what happened next will shock you. Find out in this gripping movie. Kindly subscribe to this channel to get more of our latest films. The movie opens with a young man named Andrew confronting his father, Chief, about his sudden decision to bring his new lover and her daughter to live with them. Andrew, disappointed and confused, complained that he barely knew these people, yet his father wanted them to invade his privacy. Chief, unbothered, stood his ground, leaving Andrew even more paranoid as he stormed out. But why was Chief so determined? What was he hiding? Days later, Chief's lover, Mrs. Angela, and her daughter, Heaven, drove in. Chief welcomed them warmly, but Heaven remained cold until her mother forced her to greet him, after which they all went inside. Why was Heaven so distant from the very first moment? Later that day, Heaven was outside filming a dance tutorial on TikTok Live when Andrew drove in. Shocked to see her dressed so indecently, he confronted her. Heaven didn't take it lightly, and the two exchanged sharp words. Feeling insulted, Andrew walked away while she continued her video. Could this be the beginning of a deeper conflict, or something else? That night during dinner, Chief and Mrs. Angela encouraged their children to be friendly since they were about to become step-siblings. But instead of peace, Heaven and Andrew exchanged hurtful words, disrupting the entire dinner. Chief and Angela were visibly shocked and disappointed. Why did these two hate each other so much, even before becoming family? Still that night, Andrew sat alone in his car until Chief came to question his behavior. Andrew refused to discuss it and instead broke down in anger, reminding his father that it had only been 3 years since his mother died, yet Chief was already marrying another woman he barely knew. Unable to say a word, Chief walked away helpless. Was Andrew grieving, or was there more to his anger? Meanwhile, Heaven was dressing up to go out when her mother confronted her about her rude behavior. Heaven, unbothered, spoke back disrespectfully and even called her mother a gold digger. Angela almost slapped her, but stopped herself and walked away, leaving Heaven unapologetic. Why would a daughter speak to her mother with such bitterness? Later, in Chief's room, he encouraged Angela to be patient with the children, believing they would get along eventually. Angela expressed her worries but still hoped for the best as they went to bed. That same night, Heaven was seen on the road doing hookup, waiting for a client. A young man pulled up and she went with him after he agreed to pay her the 300,000 naira she demanded. What could push such a young girl into this dangerous lifestyle? The next morning, Chief and Andrew sat in the living room having breakfast. Mrs. Angela stepped out to get something. Moments later, Heaven came out, ignored Chief completely, and went straight to serve herself food. Chief gently asked about her plans for the day, and she replied she would be home all day. Andrew picked up the conversation, and once again, the two of them began exchanging nasty comments until Andrew walked out angrily. Why do they trigger each other so easily? Later that day, Angela was selecting outfits and asked Heaven to help her choose, but Heaven rudely demanded money instead, acting like she was entitled to it. Angela pleaded with her to relate with her like mother and daughter, but Heaven, still deeply hurt, reminded her of how she never believed her when she tried to confide in her about her past. Angela stood helplessly as she sent her the money. Guys, what could a mother possibly do so wrong to receive such disrespect from her own child? In her room, Heaven later broke down, remembering the trauma she endured from a very young age, molestation from someone she never expected. She cried silently, her pain returning like a fresh wound. Could this be the true source of all her anger? The following day, Andrew was on a Zoom meeting with his staff when the loud music from Heaven's room kept disturbing him. Frustrated, he stormed to her room and demanded she reduce the volume. She refused, and the two insulted each other again. Andrew gave up and returned to his room, unable to concentrate. When will this toxic rivalry end? The next day, Heaven was walking down the street when a reckless car almost hit her. She jumped out of the way just in time, only to see that it was Andrew. He had done it intentionally. In anger, she grabbed a knife and slashed his tires. Andrew confronted her and ran to report her to Chief, while Heaven mockingly called him Daddy's princess. Who is really at fault here, or are they both losing control? Inside, Andrew reported everything to Chief and Angela. Heaven entered, and another argument broke out, forcing Chief to chase both of them away. Minutes later, Chief entered Andrew's room and urged him to control his emotions and try to get along with Heaven. Andrew reluctantly agreed, and Chief left relieved. Meanwhile, Angela also tried speaking to Heaven, begging her to be nice to Andrew. But Heaven rejected her, insisting Angela was not her mother and asking her to leave. Angela walked away heartbroken. One fateful night, Andrew went to a bar with his friend. He excused himself to use the restroom, but the door was locked. He heard strange sounds, moans, and to his shock, Heaven stepped out with a man. She boldly told him it was her job. Andrew, stunned and disappointed, called her a prostitute and mocked her. She walked away proudly. But how would you react if your future step-sibling lived this kind of life? Even outside, Andrew continued insulting her and threatened to expose her to her mother. Heaven, unbothered, revealed that her mother already knew and approved. Andrew froze in disbelief, speechless, as he returned to his friend and sat quietly. The next day, Andrew was working on his laptop when he received a call from his friend at the bar, telling him he had just seen the same girl Andrew had a one-night stand with 2 years ago. Andrew couldn't remember the girl's face from that night, but when his friend sent a picture, he was shocked. He rushed out immediately to meet him and see the girl for himself. But who could she be? And why did this mystery bother him so much? Meanwhile, Heaven was being attacked by a customer she had insulted earlier. Andrew happened to drive by, recognized her, and stopped instantly. He rushed in, intervened, and rescued her before driving her away. Was this concern or something else creeping in? Back home, Andrew, furious, warned her to stop living this reckless life before she brought shame to his father. But Heaven ignored him and walked to her room. Andrew followed her inside, still enraged. He threw money at her and demanded that if she must sleep around, then she should sleep with him instead, if that was what it took to protect his father's name. Heaven, feeling deeply humiliated, angrily chased him out of her room. Andrew left, while Heaven collapsed emotionally, confused and devastated. Why would Andrew say something so cruel? And what was he truly fighting? His anger or his feelings? Days later, Chief called for a family meeting and asked Heaven what she wanted to do with her life, since she was always indoors and not working. Heaven politely claimed she was an online influencer who promoted people's businesses and earned a lot from it. Andrew couldn't help but laugh quietly, knowing very well she was lying. Chief, pleased by her supposed career, encouraged her to keep it up. But how long could she keep up the lie? Later in the kitchen, Mrs. Angela confronted Heaven angrily, urging her to stop her dangerous lifestyle and find a decent job. Heaven boldly fired back that her mother had no right to stop her from prostituting and said she was ready for war if necessary. Guys, what exactly is going on between Heaven and her mother? Why so much hostility? Could something deeper be hiding underneath? That night, Heaven went out for her usual business, unaware that Andrew was secretly trailing her. She arrived at the hotel and entered a reserved room. Andrew followed quietly. Inside, Heaven was about to start business when she noticed a camera the client had set up to record them. Shocked, she refused and demanded he remove it. But he refused and tried to force himself on her. Just then, Andrew burst in, hit the man, and pulled Heaven away as they both escaped. Why does Andrew always appear right when disaster strikes? Is this protection or obsession? Back home, Heaven confronted Andrew angrily, accusing him of constantly embarrassing her and demanding he stay out of her life. Andrew, exhausted, confessed that he wanted to be the only man in her life. He then revealed that the one-night stand he had 2 years ago, the one his friend mentioned, was actually her. He suggested they continue like that for any amount, so she wouldn't have to sleep with many men. Heaven, shocked, didn't even remember it was him. She felt horrible, and when Andrew tried to force himself on her, she pushed him away and broke down in tears, throwing things and begging him to leave. Andrew, stunned, picked up the diary she had thrown at him and walked out, leaving Heaven devastated. Had their hatred finally crossed a line? In Andrew's room, he opened the diary and froze. Inside was Heaven's personal story, how she was assaulted by her own father at the age of 12. The client from the previous night had reminded her of that trauma. Andrew was overwhelmed with guilt and sadness, realizing how badly he had misjudged her. But how could a child survive such darkness? The next morning, Andrew was having breakfast with his father and Angela when Chief asked after Heaven. Andrew immediately volunteered to check on her, even taking her some food, leaving everyone shocked at his sudden change of attitude. Was this guilt or genuine concern? He took the food to Heaven's door and knocked repeatedly, but she didn't respond. He left the tray at the entrance and walked away silently. The next day, Andrew returned with a gift pack. Again, after several knocks, Heaven didn't answer, so he left the gift at the door. Shortly after, Heaven came out, ignored the gift completely, and left. Would she ever forgive him? Days later, Heaven was about to step out when Andrew stopped her, begging to speak with her. She ignored him and walked away, leaving him restless and worried. Moments later, she returned. Andrew, desperate, asked her to stop the silent treatment. Then he confessed he had read her journal, which made Heaven even angrier. She ran to his room to retrieve it immediately. Andrew began apologizing sincerely, telling her he never knew the trauma she carried. Heaven, overwhelmed, finally poured out her heart, explaining how nobody truly knew her story, only her reputation. Andrew, deeply touched, begged her to let him know her better. Heaven broke down and told him everything. At age 12, her father began abusing her repeatedly. One day, her mother walked in and saw it happening, yet said nothing. Heaven fled that night, only to be taken advantage of by some boys in the street. From there, her new life began. Guys, can you imagine such pain? A father doing this to his own daughter, and a mother staying silent. Where could that man be now? Andrew, heartbroken, consoled her gently and promised never to judge her again. Heaven, finding comfort in him for the first time, allowed herself to be vulnerable as they hugged. Was this the beginning of healing or the beginning of trouble? The following day, Angela and Chief were relaxing in the living room when Heaven entered to deliver a package from the delivery man. She greeted Chief respectfully, leaving them stunned, but also thrilled by her sudden change in attitude. One fateful night, Heaven dressed up to go out for her usual hustle, but halfway through, she paused and sat down, unwilling to continue that lifestyle anymore. Could Heaven finally be freeing herself from her past after opening up to Andrew? Let's hope so as we continue. Days later, Heaven met Andrew in his car after a successful therapy session. She thanked him happily for supporting her healing journey. They talked for a while before driving off to eat together. Days passed, and Andrew and Heaven grew very close. Mrs. Angela watched them bonding and felt fulfilled, believing the family was finally becoming united again. Little did she know, the worst was yet to come. Andrew and Heaven continued spending time together, caring for each other, playing and strolling together like people in love. But let's just hope they were just bonding as siblings, not lovers. Or guys, what do you think? Two step-siblings having an affair while their parents are also in a relationship. Do you support this or are you against it? Let us know in the comments section. One morning, all three were having breakfast when Heaven joined them, and she and Andrew began playing and teasing each other, causing their parents to smile and feel happy for them. Do you think their playful bond is innocent, or could it lead to complications? That night, Angela expressed her happiness about the bonding of their children to Chief, believing it was a good thing and hoping peace would be restored permanently as they enjoyed their time together. Can parents' happiness with their children's friendship really predict the future? Meanwhile, Andrew and Heaven kept spending more time together, playing cards. There, Heaven gratefully expressed her thanks to Andrew for being there for her. Andrew assured her he would always be there and see to it that she fully healed from her past trauma. He confessed how he felt. He was in love with her. Heaven also felt the same, but feared what people would say and that even their parents wouldn't support them. Andrew reassured her that he didn't care about others' opinions and wanted to be with her. Excitedly, Heaven accepted to be his girlfriend as they hugged and shared a gentle kiss. Do you think it was too soon for them to start a relationship, or is it justified after all they went through? Some days later, Andrew and Heaven were seen in the living room playing and sharing romantic moments when Chief walked in and shouted in dismay, scaring them. Chief was shocked and disappointed that his biggest fears had come true. Just then, Angela entered, asking what was happening. Andrew broke the news that he and Heaven were in love, leaving their parents shocked and speechless. Chief, disappointed, walked away while Andrew followed him to explain. Would you be able to understand your children's feelings in such a situation? On the other hand, Angela confronted her daughter, believing it was wrong for Heaven to be involved with her supposed stepbrother. Heaven, in tears, confided in her mom, explaining that this was the first time she had found happiness in a man, and she wouldn't let her past take it away after all she suffered under her father's care. The truth was revealed. On that night, after Heaven had run away, Angela had intervened to protect her daughter, hitting her father to stop him, which caused his death. Angela had lied to Heaven, saying he fell on his own. Mrs. Angela begged for Heaven's forgiveness for not telling her the truth. Heaven, realizing her mother's actions were to protect her, forgave her. They embraced in love and forgiveness. Heaven pleaded that she wanted to spend her life with Andrew, and her mother gave her support and blessings. Have you ever had to forgive someone for protecting you in ways you didn't understand at the time? That night, Angela and Chief had a heartfelt conversation and decided to end their affair, giving their children their full support and blessings to be together since they had found peace and happiness in each other. It was a hard decision, but they had no choice. Wow, this is really admirable. Parents sacrificing their own relationship so their children can be happy. Truly commendable. Would you have made the same sacrifice for your children's happiness? 2 months later, Andrew and Heaven were officially a couple, openly displaying their love and affection before their parents, who were happy for them. This marked the beginning of a beautiful love story between them. Do you believe their love will last now that they have parental support? So guys, if you enjoyed this movie, kindly subscribe to this channel to get more of our latest movies.